It's like a win-win-win. What are you doing?
Playing.
You driving the tractor?
Driving.
Good morning, beautiful people. It is a fine, cloudy day. It's actually cool. I think it's only like 78 degrees right now. It's not real hot. It's a perfect day to get out here and play in the dirt. So, one of the things that a lot of people have asked about, as I've talked about it, is my compost system with the chickens. I showed setting it up. I've not really showed a whole lot other than adding to the system, getting it, going and all that. This has been one of those things, I think I originally did it on like a Thursday or a Friday, something like that. And so when I come and turn it once a week, it's usually on the weekend, and we're usually not filming on the weekend. So I figured for today, I'm gonna bump up the schedule a little bit, and I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna do my weekly turning, but I'm gonna actually film it so the people who have been wondering how I'm building compost in the chicken coop get to see it. This pile over in the corner, yeah, we're right up at about 120, which is perfect. As you can see, that pile, like when I had it stacked, it was up to here. They have raked it down, they've gone through it, all that good stuff. And you can see they are doing what they're supposed to do. In there, just picking through everything, sorting through, looking for stuff. They know that food is in there. And then you got freeloaders that are like, where's the snacks? What I'm going to do today is I'm gonna pull out this pile. I'm gonna get some pallets and I'm gonna build a pile out here somewhere. I'm not sure where, probably right where I'm standing, because it's actually to the point where it needs to sit. It needs to actually like sit and compost, and it needs to be bigger. This, if I build this pile back up in this corner, it will be completely raked out by the end of the day. That's just how they are. The act of me turning it, I'm turning it better than they can turn it, and so I'm exposing all sorts of new things, bug larvae and seeds and whatever else, whatever they know is food. So they know that because of my destruction, they can get to stuff, and so they rake through everything, and a chicken loves gravity. Chickens will rake downhill all day long. There's really not any point in trying to let a compost pile go for a long time in here. They'll just destroy it. So what I will do is I'm going to take this stuff, everything that they've raked out, everything that is supposed to be this pile, I'm going to bring it out. And then I'm going to take the pile that's right there, and it's going to go in this corner instead. That will become the new second week compost pile. And with all these wood chips I have right here, I'm going to build week 3's compost pile. By the end of probably a month, we're going to have a lot of compost. This isn't the fastest compost pile system, but it does work. I've done this before. I did this back when we were in suburbia. Compost is kind of my love language. I love building compost. I love getting in the dirt. It's just a very peaceful thing, and it's really hard to screw up compost. Like, don't be afraid to try it. You can do it in numerous different ways, and nice thing about YouTube is there's videos everywhere if you aren't sure how to do it. So, I'm gonna bring you guys along. I'm gonna grab a pitchfork and a shovel and get moving some compost. Alright, I'm going to build this compost heap right here off the corner because I can get the tractor right here and dump wood chips over the top right there, or where that pile is. If I wanted to, I could pick up and dump over the top on that side. Right off the corner is kind of no man's land if I'm trying to do something, so I think that would be a good spot. Plus, as you can see, we let the chickens run this to the dirt, and it's having a hard time recovering. This is an example of what happens when you leave your chickens in one place too long. They will do what chickens do and destroy everything. So it doesn't really matter what kind of pallets you use, if they're good looking pallets, if they're ugly pallets. What really matters is how big it is. You actually do need some mass to your compost pile in order for it to actually do what a compost pile is supposed to do. So inside there in the chicken coop, that pile has gotten so small that it is really, like you saw the thermometer, it's still up at 120, which means it is composting, but its size means you're gonna be getting this much compost action right in the very center. It's really better if you can get it, 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. I guess 3 feet, get a cubic yard. I think a cubic yard is the smallest you really want to go. These are 48-inch pallets, 48 by 40. It's a little bit more than a cubic yard. And if I fill this thing all the way to the tippy top, in about a month, it'll be down to here. And that's, with watering it and turning it once a week or something like that. Size does matter when it comes to a compost pile. All right, we have our soon-to-be compost pile ready to go. Nothing crazy. Slats are a little bit wider than I like in a couple of these pallets, but it's fine. If I was building this inside there, which I've done before, the chickens like this, but it is a little bit high for them to jump up into. What I've noticed they end up doing is they scratch through the pallets any way you have them. If you have them horizontally or vertically, they pick at the compost, and they can eventually demolish a compost pile just by reaching through and scratching out. So it's pretty amazing, actually. Chickens can be amazingly destructive. That's ready. I'm gonna start getting at this compost inside. All right, I'm gonna get the remainder of this pile first. Get these sticks out of here because these can go at the bottom of the big pile that's gonna sit for a minute. That is quite warm. And that used to be kudzu. Kudzu vines are pretty sturdy. And these, like, they're in the middle of breaking down right now. These kudzu vines are gonna feed our garden. Watch out, chickens. Watch out. Watch out, chickens. Basically, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to water this until it is completely soaked to where I have a puddle of water down on the ground, and I know that the ground is saturated. I want to encourage all of the biota to come to this pile. All right, the most important layer is in and ready. I've got water running out of the pile. Now it's basically rinse and repeat. I'll clean up the rest of what's in there and on the ground that they've pulled out of the middle pile. Once everything is cleaned up and out of there, I will move the middle pile, turning it to where this one was. And then I'm gonna use wood chips and build a new pile. I'm actually really surprised. The stuff on the ground that they've raked through, I'll walk over here and show you. It has broken down so much faster than I thought. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of stinky. That's the stuff that's on the bottom. But generally, this stuff has broken down quite well. It's well on its way to being soil. It actually resembles soil more than it does wood chips, which that's amazing. I mean, I've got not just wood chips in there. I've got, oh gosh, weeds that I pulled out of the garden. You name it, it's in there. Everything goes to them and they process it and break it down. Very happy with how that's turned out. I imagine maybe one more flipping of that pile and that stuff's ready. Now the fun part for the chickens. As soon as I pull this whole cage off, they go crazy, they get excited. This is all ready to go. I'm gonna start filling it back up. Now that pile, even though they will probably have that completely raked down and about 2 feet tall by the time the sun sets today, I mean, look, already doing it. Climb the hill looking for goodies, and they just collapse it. And then there's always one down below, raking through what gets collapsed. What is it Joel Salatin says? The chickenness of the chicken. All right, so they'll just do their thing with that. That can continue composting, and in a week, that will go over there. All right, I'm gonna grab the wheelbarrow again and start bringing that stuff in. Sweet, I'm almost done. It's getting hot. There you have it. I've got this week's pile, I've got last week's pile, and I've got the week before's pile. Yes, you do see a decline, but if you think about it, everything's breaking down, or it's supposed to be, and so you will see it's something like 2/3 to 3/4 by the time you're done is how much you lose, how much everything shrinks as it rots down and decomposes and turns into beautiful black gold. So I wet this down the entire time. I actually ended up flooding out, but it's wood chips. Water will just flow through them. But basically the way you want your piles, you want to be able to squeeze it and get just a drop or two. That's about perfect. They'll get up here, they'll start flattening it out. Now, what about if they rake that down and they rake stuff out of this and it mixes? No big deal. Like, it's really no big deal. Eventually, all of this will be compost. All of it will go in the garden. And I think one of the nice things about this, getting that wood chipper kind of made everything go full circle, because now we have eliminated an input. This is something I've been wanting to talk about on several different videos. One of the things that we've tried to do is minimize our inputs. Since we've been here, we've needed a lot of compost. The soil out here is just hard clay. It's very poor. We need a lot of organic matter. And so what we've done is we've bought compost. Well, the first couple times we bought compost, it was pretty good. But the stuff we got this year, I wouldn't say it's the problems that other people have had where it's contaminated, but this time we got all sorts of trash in it. You know, rubber gloves and plastic and tape and just all sorts of stuff. Meaning it was at the green waste facility is probably where that stuff came from. We want to minimize our inputs. I'm taking trees that were already going to come out anyways. I'm chipping them. I'm turning them into compost with the chickens. The chickens are getting nourishment from the compost pile. Like, I don't have to feed them as much because there are 2 compost piles in here with these chickens. It's like a win-win-win. And then at the end, I've got beautiful compost. Doing it like this, forcing myself every week, I'm going to build a compost pile in here, and I'm going to turn a compost pile, and I'm going to finish a compost pile. And then before you know it, this year we brought in 20 yards of compost that we bought in. If I do this every week, and I wind up with, let's see, over there is probably a cubic yard. By the time next spring rolls around, I'm not gonna need to bring in compost because I'll already have everything we'll need. I really like this system. I can't evangelize it enough. Use chickens to make compost. It makes a lot of sense. And with that, I'm gonna get out of the sun because it was supposed to be cloudy all day and now it's sunny. I thought I would update you. This is the next morning and this video is actually going out today. I already came out here, did chores and all that good stuff. But I thought I would show you. Yesterday, I built this pile in the corner. You can see how much it has already been raked out. Like, they have shrunk that pile immensely. And that's up to 160. That is amazing. Yeah, I thought I'd thought I'd show that to you guys. Probably go in there and stick the thermometer in that in a minute. I wanted to show you this. Just since yesterday. I don't know if you guys can see all that steam, but that is quite warm. Probably not as hot. It's almost 140, just shy of 140. Everything's working. We'll go in here and check this middle one. I'm actually not expecting the middle one to be hot yet, just because it's wood chip based. There wasn't a ton of nitrogen in there, and there won't be just yet, because those chickens need to climb up there and scratch through it and poop on it. See if it's even in the active range. Yeah, so a little over 100. So yeah, it is really cool to see this system working. Meg was actually editing this video last night, and she stopped and she goes, wait a minute. You mean if we build a compost pile every week and we just cycle it through, that's a ton of compost. A cubic yard per week times 52 weeks? I mean, goodness gracious. If we keep doing this system, we will build so much compost, we won't even know what to do with it. So basically what I'm gonna do is, as long as I have materials to put in it, fall's coming, that means leaves, that means the compost piles will change what they have in them by what's available. We'll just keep doing this until we're out of stuff to compost. But if you spend any amount of time on a homestead, there's always something to compost. With all that said, go out and build a compost pile. It's good for the soul. All right, I will catch you guys on the next one.